freaky as it gets. You want a real freaky? I don't know what freaky is, you know what I'm saying? But one thing I do know what camera rolling.
Every time he get high and drunk, she tries to survive and help him. But he didn't appreciate none of that, apparently, because he ended up killing her anyway.
This is Christina Winters, a 36-year-old woman whose tragic end would come at the hands of the one person she trusted most, her husband, after years of ignoring warnings.
Who is most likely to start an argument? Who falls asleep first? Who is more annoying?
For years, Christina had hoped things would change, but soon the nightmare she had long feared was about to unfold in the most unimaginable way. In the late hours of May 19, 2022, Christina, desperately trying to avoid further conflict, drove her husband to the police station after he had recklessly fired several shots into the air.
He just was shooting in the air and she took him to get evaluated by the state. They kept him for like 2 hours and released him.
She thought that once they arrived, everything would settle down. But what she didn't know, what no one could have predicted, was that the real horror had yet to begin. As they pulled into the parking lot of the station, her husband suddenly opened fire, shooting her multiple times at point-blank range. But the most chilling part? The person who witnessed this cold-blooded act wasn't a bystander, but Christina's own 4-year-old daughter, who sat in the back seat of the car, helpless and terrified. What led to this brutal act? How did a family, once full of love, fall into such devastation? But before Christina met her death, let me take you back to where their path crossed, and we will uncover 5 red flags that could have protected Christina Winters. This is the life and death of Christina Winters. Today's story takes us to Kansas City, Missouri, a vibrant city in the Midwest renowned for its rich cultural heritage. Located on the western edge of Missouri, right on the border with Kansas City, Christina Winters, known affectionately to her family and friends as Moo Moo, was a woman who loved deeply and unconditionally. A devoted daughter, sister, and wife, she poured her heart into her family and eventually her marriage. Born on July 18, 1985, Christina grew up in Kansas City, Missouri, where she became known not just for her giving spirit, but for her life-then-large personality. Her vibrant energy made her unforgettable, and she was always the center of attention in any room she entered. Little wonder she attracted the attention of everyone around her. But what happened next would change the course of her life forever, and no one could have predicted the dark turn her story was about to take.
My hot ass is laying here on this little white vision. I'm tired. I backstroke. I did 3 laps. I water aerobics. I'm tired. Now I can go home and sleep like a baby. Because when I leave here, I'm going home and sleep like a baby.
Christina's childhood was filled with the simple joys of growing up in a close-knit family. They were always there for each other, and Christina developed a strong sense of loyalty and connection to her loved ones. From a young age, she dreamed of building her own happy family one day. Little did she know that the path she envisioned would be filled with unexpected challenges. As she grew older, Christina worked tirelessly to achieve her dreams, carving out a path that reflected her compassion and dedication. She found stability in her job as a personal care attendant, where she not only helped others, but found purpose in improving the lives of the people she cared for. Her work brought her immense fulfillment, as she was able to create bonds with her clients, many of whom saw her as a friend, not just a caregiver. Christina's big heart touched many lives, and it wasn't just her profession that defined her. It was her warmth, generosity, and the way she poured love into everything she did. Her laughter was infectious, a sound that could light up even the darkest rooms, and those around her could always count on her to lift their spirits when things got tough. She had a steady job, loyal friends, and a close bond with her siblings. Her desire for a loving marriage and children never wavered, and she dreamed of raising her family in a warm, happy home. But what she didn't anticipate was that her dreams for a bright future would take a drastic turn. It was her hope for a better future that led her to meet a man who would change the course of her life in ways she never expected. 34-year-old Elliot P. Nevels, a man who, at first, seemed like the perfect match. They quickly became inseparable, sharing a connection that seemed to promise the family life Christina had always wanted.
Who was interested first? Who said I love you first? Who's more protective? Who cleans more? Who eats the most? Who spends the most money? Who is most likely to start an argument? Who falls asleep first? Who is more annoying?
However, the man she had hoped would fulfill her dreams was also the one who would turn her world upside down. Theirs was a complex relationship, one marked by intense love and extreme struggles.
Hey, yo, how y'all doing? Hey, yeah, that's right. That's my wife. That's my everything a nigga can ever dream of.
Christina's unwavering faith in her husband's potential was tested time and time again, due to Elliot's ongoing battles with substance abuse and mental health issues.
Yes, it gets. You want a real freaky? I don't know what freaky is, you know what I'm saying? But one thing I do know what camera rolling.
But despite Elliot's violent tendencies, Christina remained committed to him. She always believed that with the right support, things could change, but sadly, her commitment would ultimately lead to her untimely death. Christina and Elliot had been married for 8 years, and their relationship was a complex mix of love, passion, and turbulence. To the outside world, they appeared to be the perfect couple. Christina, the loving wife, and Elliot, the charming yet unpredictable husband. Their marriage was marked by periods of intense affection, followed by moments of extreme volatility. Family and friends often saw the cracks beneath the surface, urging Christina to walk away from the toxic relationship. But Christina refused. Despite the challenges, she believed deep down that Elliot could change. Her love for him was unwavering, and she convinced herself that if she just held on a little longer, things would get better. She would say, "He needs me," often defending him even when her closest loved ones felt he was a threat to her well-being. Her commitment to their family, her belief in their potential for a better future, kept her tethered to him, even when her friends and family implored her to leave for her own safety. In her heart, Christina saw something in Elliot that others didn't. She refused to give up on him, refusing to accept that love alone might not be enough to overcome the struggles they faced. But as the years went on, her optimism began to clash with the reality of their situation. While Christina stood by him, her loved ones watched in despair, knowing that the path she was on could lead to irreversible damage.
Okay, for all you on Facebook, stop running your mouth to my auntie telling her what the I'm doing. I'm 33 years old, and yes, I'm pregnant, and yes, if I choose to smoke that's my business. It's nobody's business to tell me what the I can and cannot do. I'm grown.
But what Christina didn't realize was that by staying, she might lose everything. Love, while powerful, can often cloud our judgment, making it difficult to see the warning signs that are glaringly obvious to others. Her unwavering belief that Elliot could change became her blind spot. Sometimes, in the pursuit of holding on to love, we overlook the risks that are quietly growing until it's too late to turn back. Christina's desire to fix what was broken would soon lead her down a path where love no longer served as a lifeline, but a perilous hold on a future that was slipping further out of reach. As Elliot's struggles worsened, Christina found herself trying to manage his erratic behavior. She sought professional help for him on multiple occasions, hoping to find a solution to the turmoil that plagued their lives. But the domestic abuse continued to escalate, creating a dangerous environment. Christina was afraid, but she couldn't bring herself to leave him. But soon, Christina decided to take a desperate step. On May 19, 2022, Elliot had become increasingly unstable, even firing a gun into the air. Christina, deeply concerned for his mental state, took him to a state evaluation center, hoping that the professionals there could provide him with the help he needed. However, after only a few hours, Elliot would be released, leaving Christina feeling frustrated and helpless. The inadequate response she received from the authorities left her unsettled, but she knew she had to do something. That day, she made a decision that would ultimately seal her fate. She drove her husband to the Kansas City police station, hoping that law enforcement would be able to intervene and offer some kind of help. But instead of finding safety, Christina found herself in a deadly situation. When they arrived at the police station, the situation quickly spiraled out of control. In the heat of the moment, Elliot, who had a gun with him, threatened Christina's life. He told her that if he couldn't have her, no other man would. Then he made a chilling and violent statement. He threatened to kill her and then kill himself. Christina, who had once believed in their love and tried tirelessly to help him, suddenly found herself staring down the barrel of a gun. But the tragedy didn't end there. In front of his 4-year-old niece, who was traveling with them that day, Elliot shot Christina while she sat in her car. The car then crashed into a parking lot next to the police station. The young child was left unharmed, but Christina was not as fortunate. Kansas City police officers who had heard the gunshots rushed to the scene. They found Christina's lifeless body in the car. Despite immediate efforts to revive her, Christina was pronounced dead at the scene. Elliot was immediately arrested at the scene, charged with several crimes, including second-degree murder, armed criminal action, and endangering the welfare of a child.
I want to introduce you to the latest victim of this senseless violence.
KSHB 41 News reporter Andres Gutierrez shares her story and what her loved ones want you to know.
They want the community to know her as Christina Winters, her maiden name, because they say she died at the hands of her husband, all while trying to get him to this patrol station so he could get some help.
But the tragedy didn't end with Christina's death. In the aftermath of the shooting, Elliot claimed that Christina had been the one to possess the gun and had become angry over his interactions with other women. He claimed that when she began driving recklessly, he shot her in self-defense, fearing for his niece's safety. Christina's family, however, saw things differently.
He killed my baby for no reason. She did not deserve to die like that.
Laverna Winters says in their 8 years of marriage, her daughter Christina stood by her husband as he dealt with substance abuse and his mental health issues.
They were quick to voice their frustration with the charges Nevels was facing, which they believed were not severe enough for the cold-blooded act he had committed. They felt the charges of second-degree murder didn't reflect the premeditation and malice involved in Christina's death. In their eyes, the shooting wasn't the result of a spontaneous outburst or self-defense, but rather a calculated and deliberate act of violence.
The investigation into Christina's death revealed a more disturbing side to the story. Throughout the investigation, it became clear that the tragedy wasn't just the result of a violent outburst. It was the culmination of years of instability, abuse, and the failure of systems that should have provided help and intervention. Christina had tried to seek help for her husband, but the system had failed her, leaving her vulnerable in a situation that ultimately cost her her life. Christina's mother, Laverna Winters, described her daughter as a loving and caring person who always stood by her husband despite his issues.
Every time he get high and drunk, she tries to survive and help him. But he didn't appreciate none of that, apparently, because he ended up killing her anyway.
She was devastated by the fact that her daughter's efforts to help Elliot had been in vain. Christina's brother, Benson Winters, revealed that his sister had sought help on multiple occasions, even taking Elliot to the police station on the day of her death.
He just was in the air, and she took him to get evaluated by the state. They kept him for like 2 hours and released him.
He urged others in abusive relationships to leave before it was too late, a warning that now rings painfully true for his family. Christina's death has left a massive void in the lives of her loved ones. Her family continues to seek justice for the woman who was so dedicated to helping others, only to become a victim of the very violence she tried to help her husband overcome. The case has drawn attention to the complex intersection of mental health, substance abuse, and domestic violence, issues that often go untreated until it's too late. The death of Christina Winters was a tragic and senseless act of violence that left her family, friends, and community grappling with heartbreak. Her story, however, is far from over. After the shocking event on May 19, 2022, Christina's family found themselves not only mourning her loss, but also seeking justice for the woman they knew as loving, kind, and full of life. The tragic incident didn't just end with the shooting, it marked the beginning of a painful journey to uncover the full extent of the circumstances leading to her untimely death. The family's anger and frustration grew as more details came to light. It wasn't just that Christina had been the victim of a violent crime. It was the realization that despite all her efforts to help Nevels, he ultimately saw fit to take her life in the most brutal way imaginable. What started as a desperate attempt to help him spiraled into a nightmare, and no one could have prepared for the horrors that would unfold. In the days following Christina's death, the community rallied behind her family, offering support and expressing their shock over the senselessness of it all. But for Christina's loved ones, no amount of sympathy could ease the pain of losing someone who had meant so much to so many. Further examination of Elliot's behavior revealed a pattern of violent tendencies stemming from both his mental health struggles and his substance abuse problems. Christina had been his caretaker, trying to shield him from his demons, but it was clear that her efforts had been in vain. In his moment of crisis, Elliot resorted to the one act that would forever destroy his family, taking the life of the one person who had stood by him through everything. Christina's family continues to fight for justice, hoping that their efforts will not only bring closure to their own hearts, but also help to prevent similar tragedies from happening in the future. They hope that her story will inspire others to take action, to speak out, and to never ignore the signs of violence, no matter how insidious or hidden they may seem. Christina's memory lives on in the hearts of her family and friends, and they continue to honor her legacy by fighting for justice and raising awareness about the importance of seeking help in abusive situations. The fight for justice is not just about one woman's death, it's about ensuring that no other family has to endure the same heartache and pain. What do you think about it? Let us know in the comments below. And if you found this story intriguing, please like, share, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this.